Well, it's been another 2 weeks since the last Q&A, and you have another 3 questions for me to answer. I'll do my best to answer them. And we have Dan Williams with question 1. With cancel culture on the rise, that's always a lovely subject, and hunting down anyone on social media that deems to be offensive in the slightest way possible, does it feel like to you we're living in a digital version of the McCarthy trials? He says in closed brackets, in case you aren't up on your American history, I am not. Think the Salem witch trials, but instead of witches, Washington was hunting for suspected communists and communist sympathizers in America during the Cold War. Since I have a somewhat personal policy to try and steer clear of politics as much as possible, I'm going to keep this as short but on point as possible. I do feel like we're living in a society now where people take things way too seriously and just don't have a sense of humor, whereby somebody will point to the sky and say, the sky is blue. That is offensive. I'm taking you to court for pointing out the different type of color of the sky. And it's just like, why is this a thing? I could understand if you go after somebody that is using every derogatory slur under the sun, at which point, yeah, that person does need to be reprimanded, but for like the smallest minute detail that isn't even remotely offensive, I just think people need a sense of humor. I think if someone is clearly making a joke with a sincere, attempt just to... When I say make light of a situation, I don't mean that in the sense of somebody's trying to make something funny at someone's expense. I think somebody sometimes will try and make them see the funny side of what is actually going on, rather than make it a complete melodrama or melodrama, which doesn't need to happen. Long story short, people need a sense of humor. Don't need to take every single thing out of context, and if you do, you are on a level of crazy so up there that you make me look normal. Stop that. And we go to question 2, and it's from Kryptonite Cow 52. Surprisingly enough, this is actually one of his shorter ones. Would you be all for a more superhero-inspired take on the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise? Note, personally, I would be all for it, since I see the Sonic franchise as more of a superhero series. And in fact, I'm actually working on a fan comic that will be done in this more superhero-inspired style called Sonic Superheroes. This is one of the very few times I actually do see things from his point of view. Only on the basis I actually validate and recognize Sonic as a superhero. People will say, oh, he's the freedom fighter, he's the eco-warrior, but he has super speed. So in that regard, is the Flash, are Flash and Quicksilver not superheroes? I know people make this the case like, oh, but he came from a video game character. It's like, he is a video game character primarily, but he has super speed. We're talking about a character that can run at the speed of sound. Don't know about you, but I think that qualifies as a superhero power. To answer your question, I would definitely be all in for a more superhero-styled version of Sonic the Hedgehog, where Tails could be Iron Fox, Sonic could be the Blue Blur, Knuckles could be the Hulk, Sally Acorn could be like Black Widow, and why not have Amy as as the pink and green She-Hulk Hulk? She-Hulk Hulk. That'd be a mouthful, but yeah, I'm all in for that. And like I say, Sally as the Black Widow. That'd be an interesting take. And we have one from the Firebird. He's going to say, ah! Ah! Caw-caw! He's like, what the hell, MJ? I know. Would you like a Sonic movie, whether it be theatrical or straight to DVD Blu-ray, where he explores the multiverse? If so, would you have it like similar to Turtles Forever or Into the Spider-Verse, or would you want both? I've yet to see the Spider-Verse, but considering that's opened up the portals from classic Spider-Man to the Miles Morales Spider-Man to Spider-Ghost and to Spider-Man Noir, I'd definitely be all in for a multiverse Sonic where, let's say you have the current modern Sonic is the character that tells the story throughout, but he visits Adventures of, he visits Satam, he visits Underground, he visits the OVA, he visits the Archie Sonic, he visits the Fleetway. The interactions alone, there are limitless possibilities of what you could do with a story like that. Especially, we know that there's two different universes, because I noticed that Sonic Team very lazily did this retcon for Sonic Forces, whereas before, classic Sonic was from the past, he's now from another dimension. I'm like, really? The fact that Sonic recognizes him from Sonic Generations, even saying, I haven't seen you for generations. Yeah, that was lazy. Also, the fans ain't stupid. But back to the point, I would definitely love to see a story done like that. Considering I have seen the Turtles Forever as a, with regards as a multiverse where the 87 Turtles meet the 2003, who later meet the 1984 Turtles. I would definitely like to see that kind of interaction. I mean, the idea of, I could just imagine, Knuckles from Sonic Underground meeting the, let's just say, less than common sense Knuckles from the modern interpretations. No doubt they would visit Sonic Boom, which is just pure cringe. And just Knuckles thinking am I really represented as a dumbass in all of these other multiverses? And, finally seeing on film Sally Acorn interacting with Amy Rose. I mean, I don't know. If Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces has shown anything, there is an avenue for two different generations and different worlds of the characters who are essentially the same, but they're not, able to have these kind of interactions where you get these different moments created. So I would totally be in for that. I think more than likely it would be a straight to Blu-ray movie, but if you could put that on the big screen, I mean, provided the first major Sonic the Hedgehog live action movie is a success, which it just might be. Just because the fact that they actually went to the effort to say, okay, we understand that you don't like the design for Sonic, we're going to go take it back to the drawing board and redo everything. It's oh, okay. And it has to be said, folks, if you narc on the live-action Sonic movie after Paramount did the solid to actually go back and actually spend more time on making the design closer to his iconic design that we know from the video games and the comics, it's like, if you go and hate on them after that, it's like, hey, that's kind of harsh, you know, because they went to the effort to go and do all this extra stuff, and you're just going to rain on it. It's like, ooh, that's kind of douchey. But yeah, long story short, would love to see that as a multiverse, story, because, you know, it's like the game. It's like the song from Sonic Unleashed. You know, endless possibilities. So yeah, I'm all for that. Those have been your 3 questions for this week. You know how this shtick works by now. Leave a question to me on Twitter with the hashtag AskTheKnight, or leave a question in the comment section below on YouTube and dynamicnight.com. But until then, ask again.